Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Seeking Clear podcast. Today, I am bringing you my interview with William Hung. And if you were a fan of American Idol back in the early 2000s, 2004, 2005, you remember William Hung. He is the man who went on and sang the Ricky Martin song, She Bangs. And he kind of bombed it, right? His audition was bad, and it went viral all over the internet. And overnight, he kind of became like a mini reality TV celebrity. He ended up performing all over the place, and after like a year or so, he just kind of faded away from the public view. And I was able to connect with him not that long ago on social media and find out that he is now doing business consulting, public speaking, and he has actually really made something for himself and was able to flip a situation that most people, I think, would have been very negative for their lives and would have looked at very, despairingly. But William Hung was an awesome guest to have on the show because what he went through was so unique. To become famous for a reason that most people wouldn't want virtually overnight, to be someone who's unknown to someone who's known across the entire United States for something that's not very desirable. And what it's like to go through that. He has some very unique insights about life and business and self-improvement and mindset. And as soon as I was able to connect with him, I knew that I needed to get him on the podcast because, how many people have had an experience like that before? So in this episode, we talk a little bit about William Hung's past, his childhood. We talk about what he went through leading up to his audition, what the audition was like, and what happened afterwards. I actually read his book, Champion by Choice, that just came out last month. And I pulled lots of great questions from the book to further elaborate on the things he writes about. And I asked him a lot about his business and what he does and what types of things he recommends for people who are looking to get better at public speaking and start their own consulting businesses, because he has some very valuable insight, because he's been able to do things in a way that most of us never will be able to, because he has a certain type of influence that it's a type of influence that you can't buy, you can't really work for. It just kind of happened by chance. So there's a lot of really unique wisdom in this interview, and I really hope you enjoy listening to me interview William Hung. He was a real pleasure to have on the show. I will be sure to put his links down in the description and the show notes, so be sure to give him a follow, let him know you watched the interview, and I won't hold you guys any longer. I really hope you enjoy the show. Remember to check out andrewwuellner.com to learn more about me, what I do, see if you might be a good fit for one of my courses or coaching programs. And also be sure to check out andrewwuellner.com/resources to see the ways that you can support the channel, the ways you can support the podcast. I have some really great affiliate promotions for products and services that I love and use and would highly recommend you guys use in your lives. And of course, the very best way to support the podcast and the channel is to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and share it with other people who would enjoy it. I appreciate you all. I love you all. Enjoy the episode with William Hung. Welcome, everybody, to the Seeking Clear podcast. You probably know today's guest from a 2004 episode of American Idol. After his failed audition on the American reality TV show, he became famous almost overnight for his rendition of Ricky Martin's She Bangs. A failing civil engineer student, he then became a nationally recognized failure in the TV and music industry, but he wouldn't stay there for long. Using his unique situation to his advantage, he managed to redeem himself and begin rebuilding his life. He has since appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Ellen DeGeneres Show, and has even performed live in Las Vegas with Ricky Martin himself. He has spent the last few years studying the world's top performers and public speakers to uncover their secrets and apply them. He has used these skills to skyrocket his first studio album, Inspiration, to #1 on the independent Billboard's charts. His latest TEDx talk has already been viewed over 35,000 times in under a month. He has spoken for large organizations like Microsoft, Remax, Corvo, and many others. And now he spends his time serving purpose-driven business owners by guiding them from being hidden gems to industry rock stars by leveraging public speaking and uncovering their unique messages and leveraging to get booked and sold out on stages, webinars, and live streams. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you William Hung. How are you doing, William? Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Feeling great, man. I'm totally ready for it.
Awesome. So where are you right now? Are you in LA?
Los Angeles, yes.
Right. How's the weather over there?
Pretty nice. Not
Yeah.
too hot, not too cold. Pretty nice today.
Yeah, I'm over in Ohio. It's starting to get pretty cold. That's why I got my sweater on. But I always be jealous of you guys on the West Coast. It's so beautiful over there.
Yeah.
So let's dive right into things. I actually just finished this morning reading my copy of your brand new book that literally just launched. It's called
Wow.
Champion by Choice. I got my my digital copy so I could read it in time. And so first off, congratulations on the book launch, William.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was a quick read. It was full of profound insight. And if any of you watching this or listening to this are thinking about reading it, just go pick it up because it was really a unique story to hear about this from his perspective. Because I actually remember, gosh, in 2004, I think I was in the 4th or 5th grade. And I remember your audition. And so just like reading about it now, all these years later, and listening to the story and everything you've been through was really cool. I'm getting off track here. In the first chapter, you wrote, quote, "Now you might be wondering, why would you turn to me, of all people, for advice about success? Failure is often a prerequisite to success. My message for you is not simply that you can succeed despite your failures, but that you can succeed because of them." And I absolutely love that. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means and why you think people should embrace their failure?
Well, when I wrote this book, I started writing it from last year. So between 2004 and 2018, I had to reinvent myself at least 4 times, maybe even more. 4 major reinventions. The first one is the one that everybody knows about. From the civil engineering student to the American Idol rock star, that was a huge identity shift. But what the other 3 that people might not know about, the second one is after my entertainment career slowed down, after about 4 years into it. I thought I was living my dream life. I thought it could last forever, but obviously that's not going to happen for most people. So it wasn't something how do I say it? It was something I could expect. I could see coming. I just didn't know when. But at that point, I had to do something about it. And that's why I decided to finish school, get a stable job, and it's pretty good paying job too, for my government. So, it's hard to complain because 95, 99% of the people in my spot, they'll be happy where I am right now.
Right.
So that's the second reinvention. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit, let's start with the audition on American Idol, since that was the big one. That was the big first one.
Right.
What exactly about that failure do you think actually ended up benefiting you? Because I know from personal experience, I've had some pretty big failures in my life. And when we're in the moment, and sometimes even for weeks and months after the failure, it can feel like, wow, this really sucks. Like everything wrong. But then later down the road, we can end up finding out that there were things about it that like we're really grateful for, like lessons learned. What can you tell us about that particular experience that ended up benefiting you down the road?
Well, the American Idol audition was very strange. I experienced instant success. It was unexpected.
How strange that was.
Yeah, it was totally unexpected. I got hundreds of emails the same night after Fox broadcasted my audition. The emails included Ryan Seacrest show, Entertainment Tonight, movie opportunities.
Wow.
It was crazy.
So what about it? What about going through that experience? What did you learn? Were there any skills or traits that you had to like kind of take on immediately in order to get through that in the heat of the moment?
Yes. So what I just mentioned were the good things that happened, but the bad things that happened was the media and a lot of critics were not happy. They were saying things like William Hung portrays the biggest Asian stereotypes. William Hung should not be singing, basically, something along the same lines. William Hung killed himself.
Yeah. So you had to learn how to deal with criticism, like an immense amount of criticism.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, well, I can't change it. I can't control what they say, but I could only control myself. So I just have to have a thick skin and let that go.
Exactly. That's such a valuable skill for people who are starting their own businesses, or especially going into entertainment, people who are putting themselves out in the public. You have to have that thick skin, and you have to be able to look objectively at your situation and just realize that really the only thing that's in your control is how you respond and how you think. And that's a
Yes.
big takeaway for sure.
Yes.
You also talk a lot about your childhood in the first parts of the book, and you mentioned some problems with bullying and also some memories of your parents fighting. Which of these things that happened in your childhood had the biggest effect on your life, and how did you, if at all, eventually learn to cope with those things that happened to you early on?
The bullying part was the biggest one, especially the part where I got sucker punched from behind in middle school, because I thought I was going to lose my eyesight from the right hand side. I was like, because I couldn't open my eyes for hours. So yeah, that was very scary. But it just turned out to be a really bad bruise, and everything was okay. Yeah, that one I could never forget. But at this point, I wouldn't say that I condemn that guy who did it to do that to me. But but I realized it happened for a reason. It happened because it taught me to be a stronger person.
Right. What do you have any advice for people who are getting bullied?
Stand up for yourself. And I would say, when I say stand up for yourself, it's not about, learning how to defend yourself, which I still did. I took karate and self-defense classes, but that's not it. What it is like, each day that you show up, the way you show up in class, you show up to other people, you articulate your values and your visions, and you do it tactfully. Right, you don't. So the way that I look at it now, the way I handle my life is I don't hurt other people, obviously, because I don't like that. So that's not what it's about. I don't believe in violence, right? So but at the same time, I don't take crap from other people. So when something is not right at my work, something is not right with the relationship, I speak up, and that's what it's all about. Speaking up about your true feelings instead of letting it escalate.
Right. So it's not so much about being an aggressor or being aggressive, even when people confront you, but when something is wrong and it's up to you to do the right thing.
Yes.
You think it's important to go out of your way and make sure that, the word is put out there and people understand that they're crossing boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah. Very valuable professional and interpersonal skill for sure.
Yeah.
So also in the book, you mentioned that you had previously had another humiliating experience in public when you failed to perform well during your participation in a science bowl. You said that your brain shut down and you couldn't answer the questions correctly, and it was humiliating. And I actually feel like this is a really common experience for a lot of people who aren't comfortable with public speaking. I don't know if anyone is naturally comfortable public speaking. Some people get used to it quicker than other people, but it's hard to get up on stage or get in front of a camera. I remember trying to film my first YouTube video, and it was weird just talking to a camera. There's a lot of people who don't perform well under pressure or when lots of people are watching, right? So as someone who has clearly overcome this, because now you're doing all these speaking gigs, you're talking in front of huge audiences, you're doing entertainment, what's your best advice for people who struggle with the spotlight?
Well, I would say that trust the value that you have to offer. Yes. So yes, I'm not saying that you don't have to do the work, you don't have to prepare to speak on stage. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like anything else in life. You do have to make preparations. But the real big thing, the biggest fear that I know my friends and my network have, is like people judging them. Am I saying the wrong thing? Are people going to like me? I have the same fears. Don't get me wrong. When I did my TEDx talks, I was worried that people are not going to like it. So I have those fears. They are not irrational fears. They exist because you care. And it's a good thing. It's a good fear to have because you care. But at the same time, you don't want to let the fear be so overwhelming in your mind that you couldn't deliver the message.
Right. So I heard you say you have to be confident in the value of what you're delivering. And I think that's a big takeaway point right there, because I can tell from my personal experience that when I am presenting, when I'm speaking in front of an audience, when I'm filming a video, I always feel way more confident and way more able to deliver when I know what I'm talking about. So it's important to put yourself in situations where you know that, you're at least kind of an expert in what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So I would love it if you could tell the listeners a little more about the years leading up to your audition on American Idol. So in your book, you mentioned Hong Kong, you mentioned your parents, you mentioned Berkeley. So there's a lot going on in your life. And what can you tell people about William Hung pre-American Idol?
Well, one thing that people will not find from the book is the mindset that like you mentioned, the mindset that led up to my audition for American Idol, and even just before that, and that was the Berkeley talent show. So when I was struggling with civil engineering, I needed a way out. I needed something that gives me happiness. So one of my roommates introduced me to the video game called Final Fantasy X, PlayStation 2. It was the game to play back then. And after spending hundreds of hours playing that game, I learned something. I realized something. I was thinking, why couldn't I be the hero? Why just control the imaginary characters in the game?
Right.
Because in life, there's two kinds of people, right? There's the heroes, and then there's the non-playable characters. It's very similar. Yeah. NPCs, right? So I was thinking, like, well, a lot of people in life, unfortunately, are like those non-playable characters.
Yeah.
They play it safe, they get through the day, they go through the transactions, whether it's selling you widgets, whether it's running reports, whether it's saying hi, good morning, right? The greeter at the doors. But is this what you want? Do you want to do something more in your life? That's the burning desire within me. And that's why when I saw the poster for the talent show, I wanted to be the Clocker dormitory hero.
I love that analogy. It's so true. Now I'm thinking about it, like the people out there who are the NPCs in real life, everyone's an NPC in someone else's. You have package dialogue, the beliefs, like you're just a background character for some other person's story. And that's a powerful narrative too, because a lot of times I think people are like so addicted to movies and video games because it's dramatic, right? There's the dramatic music, the stories, the acting, the scripts and the settings. And we get high off of these movies and these books and video games. And then we come back to reality and it's like, well, there's no dramatic music when I enter the room. There's no boss fight for me. But
you can relate to it,
But life can be a lot like that, can't it? If you decide to take on a big goal, every time you plug in your headphones and listen to dramatic music, that's your music. You're going on your quest. You have boss fights. A lot of people they don't look at themselves as the hero. And I've read a lot of great books about archetypes in literature and psychology, and the hero's journey is just so powerful. And I always encourage people, like, no matter what you're trying to do, look at yourself like you're a hero going on a journey. And man, I mean, what a journey you've been on. That's crazy.
Right.
So after the episode aired and your name was all over the media, like, can you tell us in the moment, like, how that felt?
It was scary. I didn't know what to feel at the time. During the night when the Fox broadcasted my audition, I hid myself in my dorm room. I did not want to go out. I had no idea how people would react to me. And then next day, when I went back to class, I was just trying to keep my head down, pretending nothing happened. And then towards the end of one of my classes, my professor showed my audition in front of hundreds of students.
When I read that, man, my jaw hit the floor. I can't believe that he would do that.
Yeah, right?
How did that make you feel?
I didn't know. I thought I didn't know what to feel. Maybe nothing. Because nothing happened throughout the day before that class. It's not like somebody, but then somehow after my professor showed the audition, the students reacted. They blocked the exit, and then they asked for pictures and autographs.
Wow. That would be so strange. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that would make me feel.
Yeah.
So would you consider that period of your life to be the darkest period of your life? Or was there another time where, like, what was the lowest point in your life? Like, what happened and how did you get through it?
Well, that's, to me, the whole American Idol audition, I don't feel like the lowest point in my life, because it's maybe the highest moment in my life. I got way more than I expected, right? Of the positive things that happened. Yeah. So I would say the lowest point in my life is probably going through 2 divorces, right? Way after my American Idol.
Wow. Would you want to talk a little bit more about that and what you were going through?
Yeah, just a little bit the background and context here.
Only as much as you're comfortable with.
Yeah. So the thing is that I got married because, I thought I had the money. I thought that, I saw some beautiful Chinese girls. It's like first love, first sight, right? It's very impulsive. We didn't even date that long. It was crazy. and then somehow, because of my parents, probably because of my parents saying like, time to get married, William. You're only 30 years old. So there I was marrying, and then I really learned a valuable life lesson from that as well, because I learned not to judge the book by its cover. I learned that I need to look at the values and the vision.
So there were some value conflicts there, things like that.
Yeah.
So how did you get through that period of your life? Were there any philosophies or tactics or strategies that you used to stay positive during that dark time?
Well, the second divorce was the hardest because it was a 2.5-year struggle before we decided to go our separate ways. And then I went through a 6-month depression where I didn't want to do anything except for just clocking in, clocking out, like an NPC, really. Yeah. Now I just didn't want to do any extra interaction or anything, And then one of my friends motivated me. She woke me up. She reminded me of my past success and my success from my first album, Inspiration. And that triggered my brain. Somehow that changed my perspective. It's like, wait a minute, I was successful and I can be successful again if I choose to.
All right. Okay. I heard 2 things in there that I want to extract for the listeners. The first thing was that you had a friend who was positive, who supported you, and was able to pull you out of that dark place, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, write that down, people. It's good relationships are so important. And it's not just intimate relationships. We're talking about friends. We're talking about coworkers, the people you keep around. They will keep you grounded in dark times.
Yeah.
Second thing I heard you say was that you remembered that you've won a lot, that you've been successful a lot. That is something that so many people do when life gets hard and there's lots of stress and there's anxiety and depression. We focus on the thing that's in front of us. We focus on the thing that's at the forefront of our mind. And we take the things that we love about life, the things we're grateful for, the things that we know are and were and will be good, and we give them a back seat. And that's never a constructive thing to do, especially during a dark time, because that's when you need those things to remind you. And when you do that, you got to have good friends around you to pull you back. So good advice right there. So as I kept reading the book, William, I learned that following your initial audition, you got a lot of offers to do performances and promotions all over the place. I think you said you got invited to Iceland at one point.
Yeah, crazy.
You were hesitant at first to accept them, but once you did, you started making some decent money. You started getting better at things, going places. But then, like you said earlier, the offers kind of started drying up, and eventually
Yes.
you went back to school. You tried teaching math for a while. And while
Yeah,
you were teaching, you felt like your students didn't take you seriously, like they were more interested in learning about you than they were about mathematics.
that's right.
Then you ended up struggling to find a full-time teaching job, and eventually described the whole situation as extremely boring and depressing. So to me, after reading that chapter, it sounded like you were having a little bit of an identity crisis. Like you wanted to make your parents proud, you wanted to use your education and finish your education and do the right thing. But then it also felt like the right thing for you might have been in entertainment, but things just hadn't worked out the way you wanted.
Right.
And I know for a fact there are a lot of people out there who resonate with these feelings, who might not know where to go or what to do next, and they just feel confused and uninspired about their life. So let me ask you, William, what kinds of hard decisions have you had to make in order to find your passion in life? And what's your best advice for people who feel like they're lost in the dark and they want to find their passion? What's your best advice?
Well, the hard decisions, obviously after I graduate, I had to figure out what to do in terms of like the teaching situation. So my mom got a government job at the time. So that's why she persuaded me to work for the government, which I still do right now after 7 or 8 years. So it's easy. So this is something that I finally came to resolve within myself very, very recently, not that long ago. I don't know when, but I look at it a totally different way. Because I used to feel bad telling people that I'm just an administrative professional for the Department of Public Health in LA. I feel like because to me, it means that I didn't make it, right? In many ways, I didn't make it. But I'm no longer scared to tell people that, because there's a lot of things, and it's not just the money. There's a lot of things to be grateful for. And one of those things is the mindset shift, right? The opportunity to continue to strengthen your mindset with the work that you might not like. Right. Because on the surface, it looks like, when I tell people office job, administrative professional, they thinking, oh, okay, just the guy that handles all the office time sucking tasks, like printing out reports, making phone calls and whatnot. But maybe there's a bigger purpose behind that. Because going back briefly to the video game world, nobody ever complains when they continue to press buttons and beat up the same monsters over and over again to level up their character.
Right. It's so important though, because like the people who work in Department of Health, people who work in the EPA, people who work in like even sanitation, people who pick up your trash, they've saved more lives than doctors. I mean, like sanitation and the stuff that keeps civilization functioning. I hate the way that society categorizes people based on like the industry they're in and the job they have and their level of income, because like the whole planet at this point is a global, well-oiled machine, and everyone, whether they like it or not, is a cog or a drop of oil somewhere in that machine.
That's right.
Like, you have to appreciate people for what they do. And I'm so happy to hear you say that despite, what society might think, despite how you might feel, you're able to appreciate your job for the things that it's done for your mindset, for the things it's done for your life, the lessons it's taught you. I think that's so important, because so many people, they spend their whole life waiting to live, right? Because they feel like what they have right now isn't good enough.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's just like, you just have to look for the beauty because it's there,
Yeah. No, so another interesting insight that I want to share with the listeners. There's a reason why I share that. Okay, so let's say I'm speaking on stage, or getting on stage to perform, doing the fun things, right?
Yeah.
Everybody sees the fun things. It's like, oh my God, I want to be him. I want to be her. But nobody understands all the work that it takes to get to that point. So I tell people speaking is the easy and the fun part. The hard part is consistently doing the work, emails, phone calls, marketing. Hey, that doesn't sound so different from my job. That sounds just like my job. It's just except it's harder.
Oh yeah. People like to glamorize entrepreneurship, and it's like, yeah, I became an entrepreneur so that I could work on my own schedule, work on my own terms. But like, if I'm going to be honest, it's like, yeah, being an entrepreneur is great because you get to schedule your own 80-hour work week. And it's like, how many times have you had to refilm videos? How many times have you lost internet connection and had to restart a project?
Yes.
It's no different than a normal job. The only difference is with a normal job, you get paychecks. Like, I was broke for years. I went into debt twice to start my business. And it's like, you gotta be grateful, even if you have a 9-to-5 job, it's not that bad.
No, it's really not. That's why I said I realized I'm training my mind to make sure that I'm ready to be a full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah. I love that. You're treating this like everything in your life up to this point. And I feel similarly about my life. Like, everything leading up to this point has been training for this moment. And then this moment is training for the next moment.
Yes.
Because there's always things you can be learning. There's always like a way that you can be improving. So
yes.
So I love that you just mentioned speaking, because that's like the fun thing you get to do. My next question is actually about that, because you've gotten a lot of awards and you get paid pretty good money to speak now. So what are some of the most important things you've had to learn and get good at to become a good speaker?
Well, in terms of speaking specifically, I would say that the most important thing is to customize your presentation or speech every single time. And that doesn't mean that you have to start from scratch, but it's more like you build a consistent framework. Like in the book, Champion by Choice has a very consistent framework. That's why the framework that I present every time is the same. But the stories I use are different. The activities I use are different. That's very important, because otherwise you come across like a robot, a canned speech, and then people don't connect with you.
Right. So how good are you at like speaking off the cuff? Like, do you stick to a script like really tightly, or are you the kind of person who just like, I know the 3 things I want to mention and you just go from there?
So the way I plan each speech, I usually script the introduction and the conclusion, but the framework and the stories and the activities, those things I decide not on the spot, but I would say like for each event it'll be different. Yeah,
that's a good way to do it. That's pretty much how I do it for the podcast. I write out the intro, I put bullet points for the questions, and even when you're speaking on stage, it's kind of like a conversation, because you're saying things. Maybe you have a presentation, you're putting something into the audience, and they give you feedback. Like you got
they do,
to like the energy in the room, and like a conversation, right?
Right.
So, in your book, this is like the big thing in the book. You describe the 3 keys, which are communicate and speak the truth, context, and connect with the right people. So tell the listeners exactly what these keys are, what they're meant to do, and teach us about them a little bit.
Well, communication, I already touched on it. So how do you communicate? Communication is not rocket science, but it's also a bit more complicated than most people think. Like I mentioned, having your own framework is very important. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to memorize everything you need to say. The other thing that's very valuable is giving valuable content information to people first. So it's not about you. It's about the audience.
Right. Yeah, that's an important thing that I make sure all of my business clients understand, especially the new ones. This was a mistake I made. It was like, you started a business, it's about the client, it's not about you. I remember my first website was so ugly because I made it and I chose colors and pictures that I liked. And eventually someone told me, they're like, Andrew, your website's gross, dude. And I was like, huh, maybe I need to actually hire someone who knows how to make things that other people like. So that's the thing about communication is making sure that like you're paying attention to what you're saying and that other people are receiving it well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
go ahead.
context, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the context is to me is seeing the big picture, understanding what's going on relative to the situation. So the best example is actually my American Idol audition, because I had a choice in terms of how I respond to the judges. I could be angry and upset like everybody else, but I didn't want to be, because I just thought that the judges, they were playing the roles. They're not offending me personally. Right. So I had a choice to be positive.
That's important. Yeah. I actually just filmed a video for the YouTube channel. It's going up tomorrow about how to deal with haters and internet trolls. And like, that's something I kind of wish I had added to the video, because a lot of times people on the internet, they're just playing a role, right? People who are criticizing you and saying absurd things, they're just doing it not because they really genuinely mean it, but because, it's a role that they're playing. So tell us about the third key: connect with the right people.
That is also very critical. I'm so grateful that I connect with the right mentors, coaches, and friends throughout all these years. And it goes back to the other two keys. They all work together. You have to give first without expecting anything in return, and that's how you eventually build that connection.
Do you have any good networking advice for people who are trying to connect?
Yeah, it's the things that you say to people, because we probably get bombarded by messages like, oh hey William, could I pick your brain? That's definitely not the best way to go about it. Or commonly people would say like, I have this great opportunity for you. Are you interested? No.
Oh yeah, that's an epidemic on Facebook right now. The cold thing from people trying to sell you stuff.
Yeah.
So, in chapter 10, you talk about your prices, and pricing and sales. The whole thing is like an iffy thing for a lot of people, especially for my clients who are beginner online entrepreneurs. A lot of them, they struggle with sales, and they have what I call money blocks, which are unhealthy mental and emotional associations with money that prevent them from making a living and closing enough sales. So you wrote this about your prices, quote, "I have a rate that meets my needs. When someone pays it, they are showing me that they respect my time and my message at that price. It means they value me as much as I value myself. And by earning money from my business engagements, I have the luxury of choosing to do some work pro bono. As we all know, it feels good to give something back." End quote. I absolutely love that, because it's exactly how business owners need to treat themselves and their products. How did you manage to gain enough confidence to be able to charge what you want and feel good about it? And what do you have to say to people who struggle with finding and believing in their worth and the worth of their products?
Depends on where you're at in your life. I'm very grateful to have a stable job, because this means that if I don't feel people value me enough, my speech, my products, my services, then I have a choice not to work with them.
Right.
Why work with clients that don't value your time and energy? It's not just the money here. You're committed to their success as much as they committed to their own success.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I guess it does depend a lot on where you are in your business and exactly where you're coming from with your service or your product, and you need to balance that with the more practical aspects.
Yeah, and then for I think it's too much to deep dive into this topic, but just to gives you some idea. Like if let's say you have nothing else going on, you really need to build something, then maybe you find part-time jobs, you freelance a little bit, you get some little bit of income. naturally maybe your offers are lower priced, but also shorter term. So that's the part that you can adjust. You don't have to, do the long 3-month program. You don't have to do the long, crazy hard signature program, because those are reserved for more experienced coaches and consultants. You could start off small and build momentum that way.
Right, right. So can you tell the audience a little bit about what you do now on the side? What kind of services and things you're doing independently with your own business?
Yes. So I definitely speak for corporations and associations. That's actually my primary focus. But the secondary focus is also helping more people make it by sharing their message with the world. So I'm also working with a few clients to get them there.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your methodology for helping your clients go from a hidden gem to a rock star? Like, what are some of the things you typically walk your clients through? What do they normally struggle with?
Well, the biggest one is clarity, because we all have to go through that. It's
Totally
not like I suddenly got clarity day one, and I'm still evolving. I'm still evolving as a person, right? With what I want, right? And so that's the thing that I challenge my clients to do. There's a lady that I work with. She initially thought, wow, maybe I can help the Christian woman break free from toxic relationships. And then from her recent experience, she told me, no, I don't enjoy that anymore. I don't want to work with people that's crying to me every time. Okay, well, what else do you want to do? And then she thinks about adventure, and then actually, very interesting. There's quite a bit of adventure coaches out there. So whatever niche that you pick, chances are good someone else is already doing it. And then you can figure out how you can put your unique spin into it.
Right, right. I love that. It's first of all, it's so true that there are coaches out there for literally everything.
Yeah.
Some people are like really hesitant with the coaching industry, and some of them are like, oh, I'll never be able to find a niche. And it's like, no, you'll find one. They're out there. But yeah, when you talk about clarity, when a client is trying to figure out if their offer or their niche or whatever it is they've decided to move forward and do, when they're trying to figure out if that's the right fit for them, what's the best way for them to do it? Is it for them to just draw something up and try to go sell it and do it and see if it works, or do you try to like connect them to their values and get them to visualize a little bit first?
It's really both. Because for the client that I work with, I told her, well, I think you have a pretty good vision with the adventure coach. That's a pretty good direction, pretty narrow enough. So I told her, maybe you talk to people about that, share with your network, make some posts on social media for you hiking or going on trips. See how that feels, right? You don't have to commit all in from day one, but commit to it instead of going all over the place.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to do the research. You got to ask people, get feedback. I think that's probably, we could probably say that about just about everything we've talked about so far. It's just like, whether it's public speaking, whether you're working with clients or you're trying to start a business, you just got to like dip your toes in and get that feedback, right? That's kind of like your first key: communicate and speak the truth. You got to give the value up front, and you'll get the feedback. You'll get the clarity answer you're looking for. So, yeah. All right. Well, we're coming down here towards the end of my list of questions. I've got 2 more for you, William, and this is my favorite one. So, what is the impact that you want to make on the world? When William Hung is a pile of bones 6 feet underground, what are the people who are still walking the earth, who knew you when you were alive? What do you want them to say about who you were and what you did here?
I want people to remember me for transforming adult learning forever. And the reason I want this is because I'm actually a descendant of Confucius.
Really?
Yes, I did not know that, but I learned that over the years. I'm one of the descendants, and Confucius, definitely a philosopher, very big on education. So this is something that I want people to remember me for.
I like that. I like that a lot. I read somewhere that there's only, I'm really bad with numbers. It was either 300 or 500, but it said that there were only that many family names in China. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. Because some and then some names are much more common. Mine is very rare. Yeah, my last name is very rare.
That's
Yeah.
so fascinating to me. How many times have you been to China?
Huh?
How many times have you been to China?
Yeah, of course. Multiple times, but not all the time.
Yeah, I want to go visit one day. This is completely off script, but what would you recommend I go visit? Like if I had to pick 3 things in China to go see as a tourist.
Hong Kong, because it's so unique. Yeah. Hopefully the protests die down by then. That is a concern right now. But after that, I would say pick one spot that's south and one spot that's north. Shenzhen is pretty good. What else is in the north? Canton is in the south. That's interesting. Then the north, maybe pick Beijing, Shanghai. Yeah, experience the differences.
Yeah, I will go one day, and I'll message you back, and I'll let you know what I saw.
Okay.
All right, so the floor is yours, William. Tell my listeners about what you've got going on in your life, where people can go on social media to follow you, and tell them about your offers. What kinds of people are you looking for your service?
Sure. So what I'm working on right now is I am continuing to build my new coaching program, because I just started it this year.
Mm-hmm.
I am doing book signings in different states, different locations. I'm speaking as well. That goes to the book signing.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of people I'm looking for, people who's willing to put in the work.
Right.
It sounds trivial, but it's not. It's very hard. Because that's the hardest thing, and that's actually maybe the unique thing that I help people with is how do you have that resilience mindset and keep putting in the work.
Yeah, that's so important. Even with good leadership, even with the right information, not going to get anything done if you just think about it and don't actually do anything and try anything. So, all right. Is there anything else you want to share with the listeners, William?
So yeah, I saw. I would say this is probably a good closing example or story. I can't believe how difficult it is to get on stage proactively, because for me, I got invited to the biggest stages, right? From Microsoft, from Corvo, from Remax. I'm grateful. I mean, I love it. Life is good. Nothing wrong with that. But in terms of like generating my own, stages, business opportunities, it's so freaking hard. I only got like 2 deals that's kind of close, but not yet. It's still not. I didn't get the, signature on the dotted line and money coming across yet. So it takes more work than you think to go from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
So but if you keep going, you'll get there. Right. It takes more than you think, right? I reached out to maybe like 100 associations within the last how many weeks? Maybe the last month or so. It's crazy.
That's how you do it. You heard it here, folks. That's William Hung, and he is telling us that if you just show up, if you just find the confidence, remember your success, you have a plan, you treat people with respect, you give them value. If you do the right things and you keep showing up, you'll get what you're looking for.
Yeah. So the secret for me doing it with my full-time job, because that's a question that a lot of people have, is I don't need to spend like going crazy each day. I just reach out to 5 new associations each day. That's it. Mm-hmm. Very doable. You can do it. Anybody can do it, but consistently doing it is the hard part. Yep.
It's the small steps, small little steps every day. Yeah. You can see if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you can see my battle board behind me. All my flow charts. Yeah, and it's so easy to look at something like that and be like, oh, I have to do all of that. And it's like, no, you don't. You have to do like 1/2 of one of those things a day.
Right.
Yeah. And as long as you move forward every day, if you keep showing
Yeah.
up, you'll get where you're going. And like,
Yeah.
not time, people. So enjoy your lives, right?
Yes.
All right, folks. Well, you heard it here. This has been William Hung. I want to say thank you so much one more time for making time in your busy schedule to come on the show to talk to my listeners. I'm sure they're going to love hearing your story. And for those of you listening, if you want to learn more about William Hung, I recommend you all buy his book, Champion by Choice. It just came out. You can get it on Amazon. There's a paperback version, I believe, and
Yes.
Kindle version.
Yes.
And I will also be linking all of William's social media platforms and his websites down in the description, in the show notes, or in the pinned top comment, so you guys will know where to find him. One more time, thank you so much, Will.
All right.
All right, you take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Seeking Clear podcast. I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this podcast and you want more of it, you can watch it on the YouTube channel over at Andrew Wuellner, and you can also listen to it on the major podcasting platforms, anywhere podcasts are found. You can support the channel by subscribing to the YouTube channel, downloading it, sharing it, showing it to your friends. All of that is greatly appreciated. I love the support. It shows me that you guys are getting something from this podcast, and I will continue to do it as long as that is the case. But if subscribing or sharing doesn't feel like enough for you and you want to do more to support the channel, you can go to my website, andrewwuellner.com, and check out what I do, what I offer, see if you might be a good fit for one of my coaching programs or my courses. And you can also go to andrewwuellner.com/resources to see all of my special offers. On this page, I have links that will take you to some of my favorite products and services that I personally use, that I personally love, and I would highly recommend you guys use in your lives to help you improve your quality of life or your quality of business. For example, if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner who sells a service or a product online, you need to be using sales funnels. And if you're using sales funnels, you need to be using ClickFunnels, because ClickFunnels allows you to build the largest number of high quality funnels. You can build websites, membership sites, webinars, VSLs, opt-in pages. All of it's possible, and it integrates with all of your favorite technology, your payment processors, your autoresponders, Zapier, everything. The customer service is second to none, and ClickFunnels has a perfect track record of being an amazing software. In fact, my entire website, andrewwuellner.com, is built on ClickFunnels. So if you want to see what it can do, just look around my website. I've used just about every integration that's possible. But if you go to andrewwuellner.com/resources, you will see a link for a free 14-day trial of ClickFunnels. If you join using my link, it supports me, it supports the channel, and I will also support you by sending you free to download my very best templates from my own marketing campaigns, including webinar funnels, homepage funnels, and opt-in lead generation funnels. I will also give you a free 5 to 10 minute video audit of your website and funnels when they're done. This is normally something I only do with my one-to-one paying clients. But if you use my affiliate link, you build some funnels, you build your website, all you have to do is email me, send me the link. I will see that you are one of my affiliates, and I will check out your branding, your copywriting. I'll look at your funnel, I'll look at your website, and I will film a video and send it back to you and let you know exactly what I think, what you can improve, what I love. And I will do everything I can to support you and your online business, because you guys are supporting me and I appreciate you that much. So please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for sharing, for watching this podcast. Go to andrewwuellner.com/resources to see more ways that you can help support me and improve your own life. And I will see you guys in the next episode of the Seeking Clear podcast. Take care.